Good evening and welcome. My name is Taylor Kingman. As President of the Board of Trustees of the San Angelo Independent School District, I would like to welcome all of you who are present at tonight's regular board meeting. I also welcome those of you who are watching the recording of this meeting online or on our public access channel. We appreciate your interest in the activities of our students and the business of SAISD. All items that will be discussed at our meeting this evening have been posted as required by state law. Also, as you may be aware, our board meets a minimum of 2 times per month, and most, if not all, of the items on our agenda this evening have been previously discussed at our earlier pre-agenda board workshop. As members of the SAISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from our superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and to make policy for the district. Please keep in mind that our meeting is a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public and not a meeting of the public. However, we have a public comment item on every one of our meeting agendas that allows anyone present who wishes to speak to our board team on an item not on our action agenda or an action item on the agenda an opportunity to do so. Please provide your name and contact information and the specific topic you wish to address on a public comment form located in the back of the room should you want to speak on an issue not on our action agenda. Please listen carefully and comply with the following rules so we can move through this part of the meeting efficiently. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes. The district will provide an official timekeeper. You'll be notified when your time is up. Please respect the privacy of others and refrain from identifying students, employees, or other community members by name. Disruption of the meeting will not be tolerated at any time, and comments on any subject, whether positive or negative, must be courteous and respectful. Any speaker with a specific complaint about a district employee, decision, or operational issue should present that complaint through the appropriate mechanism, which is the district's formal grievance process. If you have a pending grievance, please remember you are not permitted to speak about the grievance during public comment. Also, please understand if you speak to us on an item not on our action agenda, that the board cannot reply to you except to thank you for your comments, since the matter has not been posted for discussion. In compliance with state law, these proceedings are recorded and will become part of SAISD's permanent legal record. In order that the recording will adequately reflect the proceedings, I ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. I also ask, as I remind my fellow board members, to please turn off or silence your cell phones. Again, thank you for being here and for your support of SAISD. All right. With that, the meeting is called to order, and we do have a quorum. We have all 7 board members here currently. And we will move on with our invocation. And Mr. Braden Harris, who is the Associate Student Pastor at Paul Allen Baptist Church, is going to help us with that.
First off, I just want to say thank you guys, the board and Dr. Moran and everybody. Thank you for allowing me to be able to come here and pray for you guys and be a part of this meeting. I really appreciate it. And I haven't been in San Angelo a very long time. I've actually been in San Angelo for a year, just a few weeks ago, actually. But, man, I just appreciate what you guys do for our community and what you do for our students. We get to work with students all the time, and it's a privilege. And so I appreciate you guys. So if you would, bow your heads with me, and we'll pray. Man, Father God, thank you for today. God, just thank you for who you are, and thank you for what you did for us on the cross. But God, I just pray for this meeting. God, I just pray specifically for our board members as well. God, I just pray that as they continue to make decisions and talk about things and all those things, God, you would just allow that to be aligned with your will. And so, God, I just pray for them, and I pray for discernment and wisdom and all the things. God, I also just pray for our teachers and our students and our graduates of this year. God, thank you for another awesome year. And so, God, I pray for some rest and relaxation for our teachers. And God, I also pray for the students who are going to be moving up a grade, but I also pray for the students who are graduating and going and doing amazing things, whether they're going to college or the workforce or whatever. God, I know that your hand will be on them. So God, I pray that you would pour out favor on them. But God, I just pray specifically for this time and for our community. God, I just pray that we would just continue to move and to align ourselves with what you want us to do. And so God, we just thank you for everybody here. God, we just thank you for everybody in this meeting. God, we pray you keep everybody safe. So God, just thank you for all the things you've done for us. I pray all this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. So next we have some students from Fannin Elementary. They're going to help us with the pledges to both the United States and to Texas. We have Bentley Gutierrez, Taylor Carter, Jarek Johnson, and Kayla Wynn, and they're all going to come up here and help us do this. If everyone would please stand.
To the flag of the United
remember, you guys stay for pictures. Parents, thank you all for bringing them. Appreciate them doing that. All summer long, we have to lead our own pledges, so it's fun to have the students here. All right. Next, we're going to move to item 4, which is to consider the certificate of election. And Dr. Jessica, you'll have those for me to sign. All right, so now that we have signed those, we're going to have the elected candidates for single member districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 come forward to the front to execute the statements of office and conduct the oath of office. And as we're doing that, I just want to publicly thank Ms. Arroyo, who has served for the last 4 years as a member of the Board of Trustees, and publicly state that what a great board member she has been, and also how lucky San Angelo has been to have someone so selfless and so caring, and with such a big old heart up here, making sure that lots of kids who will never know her name were taken care of. So I just think it's real important that we thank her on her way out. So.
We're going to take the oath of office first. My name is Judge Gonzalo Rios, SAISD alumni, Angelo State alumni. Proud to be here, proud to be asked to be here. I'm going to give the oath to all of y'all at the same time, if you don't mind. Okay, can you state your name going from this to that way? Okay.
Taylor Kingman.
Okay. If you would repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of School Board Trustee for the San Angelo Independent School District of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Thank you. Let me do the statement of officer next. Again, please repeat after me. I, give me your names, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all.
We gotta do a little paperwork, I'm sorry. Give us just a moment.
Oh, that's a nice pen. That might be my pen.
Carla, you need to, sign those two so Judge Rios can sign them as well. All right. Again, thank you, Judge Rios, and we will now move forward, and welcome Mrs. Cardenas.
Thank you very much.
So now we're going to move forward with our agenda, and the next is to consider the selection of officers. So with every year we select officers, and we will need to elect a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. To have a motion regarding officer selection.
I'll make a motion to keep the officers as is. I think with the recent bond election and all the changes, it's important to rely on the wisdom and experience of our more seasoned board members. So I would like to make a motion to keep them the same.
All right, do I have a second?
I second.
So that would be, just to be clear, that would be myself, Taylor Kingman as president, Amy Mizell Flint as vice president, George Gallegos as secretary, and Mr. Bill Dindal as treasurer. I have a motion from Dr. Mills and a second from Mrs. Duncan. Is there any other board comments or questions regarding officers? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say the same. And with Ms. Cardenas and I talked before the meeting, we usually have a pre-agenda meeting where everyone gets to hear all these things, and she's got elected 30 seconds ago. Y'all just saw it. So she's going to abstain from most of the votes tonight, and then we'll move forward with that in the future. So that'll pass 6-0, Jessica. All right. So next, we got recognitions, which is why all of y'all are really here. And so we're going to start with recognition of the outstanding performer at the UIL State Wind Ensemble. And Ms. Schwartz is going to help us with that.
Good evening, Dr. Moran, Board of Trustees, and welcome to Ms. Cardenas. I'm going to wait a second for Mason to get up here. Okay, ready? Yeah, you can go stand right in the middle. I know you're all alone up there. On May 3rd at the UIL State Wind Ensemble Festival, Mason Kallenbach was awarded the distinguished title of UIL Outstanding Performer on Snare Drum. This honor is reserved for a select few student musicians across Texas who demonstrate exceptional musical artistry and technical excellence during their ensemble performance. A panel of experts, evaluate each group and may choose to recognize individual performers or sections whose contributions rise above the rest. Recipients of this award are presented with a draped state gold medal symbolizing their musical talent. San Angelo ISD proudly recognizes Mason Kallenbach for his outstanding dedication, talent, and artistry as a musician. Congrats, Mason.
Next, we're going to move forward with recognitions of our Central High School and Lakeview High School athletes, and Coach Chance going to help us with that.
Thank you, Dr. Kingman. Dr. Moran, Board of Trustees, it's an honor to recognize a number of our athletes from throughout the district from Central and Lakeview. Right here we have the Central Unified Track Team. This is the first year that this has occurred at Central. Unified Track is a UIL sanctioned sport in which functional academic students along with general ed students compete in 5 events at meets. The 5 events are the 4x100, the long jump, the shot put, the 100, and the 400. Central won the area meet that was hosted here at San Angelo Stadium and then finished 3rd at regionals in Abilene at McMurray, which advanced them to the state meet. Programs like these continue to help bridge the gap of inclusion between our FA students and our general ed students. And I'd like to recognize them as you can see. First off, we have Calvin Cartwright in the 4x1 and 400, Anthony Cruz in the 100, Xavier Cruz in the 400, Jathan Diaz in the long jump, Addison Gilbert in the 4x1 and 400, Madison Gonzalez in the 4x1, Chris Mahurin in the 4x1 and shot put, Caleb Martinez in the shot put, Zane Niera in the long jump, Ashton Palanes in the 4x1, Nehemiah Pedraza in the 4x1, Amado Perez in the 100, Fabian Perez in the 4x1, Kyler Price in the shot put, Bobby Robertson in the long jump, Carson Scarborough in the 4x1 and long jump, and Jordan Wood in the shot put. Let's give these athletes a round of applause for an outstanding year. Let's give them another big round of applause. Next up, we have the Lakeview Boys Track. Tonight from Lakeview Boys Track, we have Kentrell Johnson. Kentrell was the district champion in the 200-meter dash. He also advanced to the regionals in the 4x200-meter relay. Kentrell placed second in the 200-meter dash at regionals to qualify for the state track meet at the University of Texas. At the state track meet, Kentrell finished fourth, running a 21.31, with the third place getting 21.30, so it was a little bit close. It was... Congratulations to Kentrell. He is a junior, so he'll be back next year, so we expect great things. Up here with Kentrell, as well as Derek Allenbar, head coach, Jonathan Gonzalez, Richard Rolwitz, and who else am I missing? Oh, Brian Farrell. Sorry, Brian. But again, congratulations to Kentrell on an excellent season, and we look forward to great things next year. Next up, we have the Central Boys Bobcat Gymnastic Team. The boys gymnastics team had another sensational year this year, placing second in district, second in regionals, and then finishing sixth at the state meet, which is the 31st trip to the state meet for Coach Errett. And outstanding year again. We want to go through each of the participants and just highlight a couple of things here and there of what they did throughout the year. First off is senior Eli Soto. You can step up, Eli. There you go. Eli finished 8th at state in the floor, 5th in the vault, 8th in the high bar, and 7th all around. He was a first team all district, first team all region, and first team all state. Next we have junior Brady Stewart. At regional, Brady was 5th in the floor, 5th in the rings, 6th in the high bar, and was first team all district and first team all region. Junior Caden Stewart at regional finished 6th in the pommel horse and was a first team all district and second team all region. Sophomore Carson Edwards at regional finished 4th in the parallel bars, 4th in the high bar, and 4th all around, and was first team all district and first team all region. Junior Nick Atkinson at regional finished 5th in the rings and 6th all around, and was a second team all region. Also on the team included sophomore Aiden Freeman, junior Carson Freeman, senior Matt Gomez, sophomore Wyatt Pickett, and then, of course, head coach Kern Errett. Congratulations to these gentlemen again. Only 2 seniors, so bringing a lot of people back next year, so good things. And last and certainly not least are the Central Lady Cat Gymnastics team. For the 24th consecutive year, they won the district championship, they won the regional championship, and a 24th state appearance, winning the state championship for the 15th time and the 7th time in a row. Let's give them a round of applause just for that right there. A little bit different this year. Going after the first day, these ladies were in 4th place. I think since I've been here, they've always been in 1st place after the first day and the second day. But this year, they were in 4th place and came out strong. And after just 2 events, were already back up in the lead and continue to hold that to the very end with an unbelievable round on the. I just went blank. On the balance beam. Which is, I think Coach Walker tell you, is the hardest to score on, and the other team that was in second had the floor routine, which is the easiest to score on. But these ladies outscored them and just did an unbelievable job. It was so impressive as usual. Want to introduce the team. First off, senior Sarah Baker, who was a state beam champion, 4th in the vault, 3rd in the bars, and 3rd on the floor, and 2nd all around. She was 1st team all district, 1st team all region, and 1st team all state. Then we have senior Kaylin Cadd, was 4th in the state vault and 1st team all district, 1st team all region, and 1st team all state. Senior was Daniela Dela Cruz, who finished 10th in the vault at state and 8th all around. She was a 1st team all district, 1st team all region, and 2nd team all state. And again, I'm not hitting district and region for everybody because we'd be here all day long because they swept all those. Junior Ava Bedard was 4th in the vault at district and was 2nd team all district. Junior Allison Garnett at region was 2nd in the bar, 6th in the beam, 2nd in the floor, and 3rd all around. Was a 1st team all district and 1st team all region. Junior Steely Young was 5th at state on the beam, 1st team all district, 1st team all region, and 1st team all state. Also was junior Addison McDuffie, junior Gracie Foster, sophomore Michael Mock, freshman Serena Lopez, who was 4th on the beam at state, 1st team all region and 1st team all state, and freshman Sophia Pashal finished 5th on the vault at district and 3rd on the beam and was the 1st team all district, and then freshman Mila Morrison to round out the roster. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, head coach Tony Walker, once again bringing home a 15th state championship. Congratulations, ladies.
All right. Next in our recognitions is Dr. Gomez, and she's going to bring us up there for a recognition of 2025 Schools Transforming Learning, and that's Bonham and Holloman Elementary.
Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and members of the board, my first recognition this evening is for the 2025 Schools Transforming Learning, awarded to Bonham Elementary and Holloman Elementary. So Miss Luther and Miss Fisher, if you'd please come up front. And this is the time you get to stand in the center. As these ladies come up, some background information. San Angelo ISD proudly celebrates both Bonham and Holloman Elementary for being named among the 2025 Schools Transforming Learning by the Into Learning Principles Institute. These campuses are part of a select group of 14 innovative schools across Texas, recognized for making exceptional strides in creating transformative learning environments for all students. These schools have demonstrated a strong commitment to reimagining education, fostering innovation, and empowering every learner to thrive in a rapidly changing world. If we have any Bonham or Holloman staff in the audience, would you please stand? It truly takes a village. So at this time, if you would please join me in recognizing Ms. Luther, Mrs. Fisher, their staff from Bonham and Holloman Elementary for this exceptional recognition. Okay. Thank you guys for being good sports and standing. I do appreciate that. You are welcome to join for the picture or not. That's up to you guys if you'd like to come up for a big group picture. Ms. Schwartz, after we do a big group picture, we'll do a picture with the principals and Dr. Moran. Thank you, staff, for joining. And one more picture. This is the Bonham clan picture. As they're finishing the picture and shaking hands, our CKH National Showcase campuses, if you can please line up on the side, our principals and your leadership team, if you're one of our 10 campuses, principals and leadership teams. Let's see how good somebody can put y'all in ABC order. Like elementary days, Mr. Jimenez, ABC order. That's an unofficial quiz, Dr.
And our next recognition is also by you, Dr. Gomez, is for the Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase campuses.
Yes, we'll give them a grade after when I start calling them up here. So Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and members of the board, this recognition warms our heart as CKH is a foundational belief in San Angelo ISD. This evening, we are proud to announce that 10 San Angelo ISD campuses have been recognized as a Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase campus this school year. This prestigious honor is awarded to schools that demonstrate exceptional commitment to building a safe, connected, and high-achieving learning environment through the implementation of Capturing Kids' Hearts processes and practices. This recognition celebrates our staff's dedication to fostering strong relationships, promoting positive culture, and equipping students with the social emotional tools they need to succeed academically and personally. Dr. Moran, if you could come up to the front, I'll call each campus first and their leadership team. We'll do campus pictures, Mr. Schwartz, first. So first up for the test, Miss Luther and her team from Bonham Elementary. Miss Luther is accompanied by Miss Goodwin, her assistant principal. Thank you. Next up, we have Dr. Marissa Guerrero, principal from Bradford Elementary, joined with her assistant principal, Ms. Laura Childs, and counselor Malia Taylor. From Crockett Elementary, we have Principal Mindy Goodnight and Assistant Principal Hannah Martinez. From Fannin Elementary, we have Principal Mrs. April Johnson and Assistant Principal Catalina Peterson. From Goliad Elementary, we have Miss Becca Flores, Principal, and Miss Tessa Landon, Assistant Principal. Now this is where I could challenge the ABC order, but they did some levels here. It's okay, I'm gonna let them stay in this order and we'll recognize Reagan. Now as a former first grade teacher, he might have had points taken off, but not this evening. So from Reagan Elementary, we have Principal Ms. Katie Rudolph, accompanied by her counselor, Olivia Sarabia, and some very important teachers that lead this work in the trenches, Laura Navarrete and Larissa Martindale. From San Jacinto Elementary, we have Principal Mrs. Michelle Beers and Assistant Principal Mrs. Devin Hagan. From Santa Rita Elementary, we have Principal Mrs. Kay Scott and Counselor Kaylee Fontenot. From Lincoln Middle School, we have Assistant Principal Mr. Jaime Jimenez, Kilm Elkins, and Albert Gatan. Mr. Gandar sends his regrets as he had another assembly this evening. Congratulations, Lincoln Middle School. And last, but certainly not least, from Holloman Elementary, Mrs. Stacy Fisher, Principal. Please join me one final time for a round of applause for these campuses.
All right. Next, we have a recognition of Safe Employee Recognition Campaign, or CERC, and Property Casualty Alliance of Texas Awards. And Dr. Brandon's going to help us with that.
Dr. Keeman, Dr. Moran, Board of Trustees. Good evening to all of our guests, staff, administrators. On behalf of Workers' Compensation Solutions and San Angelo ISD, I want to thank you for the opportunity to honor 6 of our employees who have made outstanding contributions to our organization's culture of safety. This year, the Safe Employee Recognition Campaign, or CERC, again gave us the opportunity to recognize and reward employees who demonstrated safety on the job. Of the many employees who were recognized during the campaign, a select few have been chosen by our CERC committee for a higher honor as the 24-25 honor roll employees. This evening, our child nutrition winner could not be with us, but Esmeralda Arambula is being recognized this evening for child nutrition. And we'll let you guys accept the award on her behalf. This evening for technology, we're recognizing Andrew Pitts. We even put Andrew to work tonight on his award night. Daniel and then Zach. Mr. Kennedy. This evening receiving the Maintenance Award for Safety, Daniel James. You want to go up there with him? Yeah, take a picture and then just... Okay. And this evening, for custodial, Zach Rubicala. This evening for transportation, Mauricio Franco and Terry Langford. Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
Our last recognition, each day school bus drivers are entrusted with safety, transporting our children to and from school. No matter the weather conditions or the traffic, their performance on the road must always be A+. This year, following a selection process by the district, one exceptional driver was chosen to be the district's PCAT Bus Driver of the Year. On behalf of PCAT, it's my honor to present Larry Hawkes with the 24-25 PCAT Bus Driver of the Year commendation.
All right, that will conclude our recognitions. Recognition F has been moved till next month, which would be, so if you're following along. So with that, we'll go to public comment. And 3 people. And first up is Miss Diana Banks.
Hello, y'all. Hey, my name's Diana Banks, and I am a retired teacher. I taught 34 years in kindergarten through 3rd grade. I grew up in San Angelo. I went to Goliad. I went to Lincoln. I went to Lakeview. And then my children went to Bonham and Bowie and Lee and Glenn and Central. So I have many roots of education in San Angelo, look all the way through. I even am in the Concho Valley Retired Teacher Association, which is a great group for teachers that are retired. But today, I come to thank the San Angelo School Board members, all of y'all. I come to thank Dr. Moran. I come to thank all the other San Angelo personnel for all that they are trying to do for our children and our schools. Thank you for many hours you put into helping all the children in San Angelo. Thank you for making sure that we have a balanced budget and listening to all the things that you listen to. Thank you for listening to the Facility Advisory Committee and approving a bond
that can now help all of the children in the area of San Angelo ISD. May the decisions you continue to make be the best decisions for the children, the teachers, and our community. Thank you again, and may God really bless each of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Banks. Next, we have Ms. Selena McDuffie.
Good evening. My name is Selena McDuffie. My son is an 11-year-old that attends Glenham Middle School. I come before you to discuss a very hard matter. My son has been bullied for the last 6 months. He was picked on regarding clothing, superficial things, and then it turned to kids telling him to go kill himself. That is something that I don't take lightly, and I hope that nobody here does. I am very disappointed in the way that the school has handled the situation, which is why I'm also here. I have gone through the chain of command. It was a 3-hour wait over a 2-day period. So the first time I spoke to one principal, they waited 3 hours before contacting me regarding the situation when I found out. The second day was the same thing. There was no reassurance. There was no solution given. There was nothing that was tangible that was given to me when I asked, what are we going to do to prevent this from happening? Because I can't change anything that happened. Nobody can. But the only thing that we can do is look forward to the future and how we can make it better for the children that we claim are going to take over our world, our country, San Angelo one day. This is not what we should be doing for 11, 12, 13-year-olds. This shouldn't be acceptable. And I don't have all the solutions, but I know that we need more training in the classroom. We need more teachers to care more, because not once did I hear from a teacher that his behavior had changed. My son loves school. He excelled at it. And it wasn't until February that we noticed his grades were slipping and that he no longer wanted to go to school. And in order for him to learn, he has to want to be there. And if he doesn't want to be there because of the people that are hurting him, maybe it is poking fun or kids being kids, but that still should not make it okay to accept that kind of behavior. And I hope that there wasn't a teacher or principal or counselor that was there that heard something and just dismissed it. But I find it very hard to believe that he went an entire school year without anyone contacting me regarding it, and that he didn't feel safe enough to go to anybody in his school for help. So thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. McDuffie. Next, we have Ms. Mary Casper.
Good evening, Board. Congratulations on your passing of the bond. I won't say I'm happy about it. And after what I read this morning, I was even more unhappy, because it seems that there is a very great possibility that I am no longer in the Wall School District, but have been switched over to SAISD. And I'm not the only one. It seems that every single residence along the south side of Country Club Road, which is county, by the way, part of it anyway, my portion is county, have been switched over also. So it looks like you have kind of taken a couple of steps, if this is true, to alleviate the loss of students by dragging in another portion from just outside your district and enlarging yours. This is not very nice. No one contacted me. I had no idea that this was even being considered. So if I've been a pain in the butt before, and if I stay in San Angelo ISD, I will be more of a pain in your butt. And believe me, I will haunt you for the rest of your lives, even after I'm dead. And that's not a threat, that's a promise. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Casper. All right. Next, we're actually going to go into closed session under 551.072, which is real property, and 551.074, which is personnel matters. And we will be back. All right, we are back from closed session. We made no votes, we took no action, and so we will move forward with our agenda. And next is information item by Dr. Gomez, and she's going to give us an update on bell schedules for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and members of the board, this report is on the bell schedules for the 25-26 school year. Our intentionality behind this process is something that involves multiple departments and takes intentionality among several individuals. So our purpose and vision for these bell schedule updates that we will go into further detail about covers the following areas. We've worked to align instructional minutes across grade levels to support equity and consistency in learning opportunities. Increase learning time to improve academic outcomes and better support student achievement. We're going to talk a little more about that. It's a key here that more time or extended time through the summer, for example, that alone doesn't improve student outcomes and achievement. It's what you do with that time. So we're going to talk about that. That's a key point. It supports district-wide operational efficiency. In the pre-agenda, I mentioned specifically a lot of coordinated efforts with Mr. Livingston, with child nutrition, with HR from staffing. So that's part of our responsibility to be good stewards. Then I want to go back to that research. Quite often, I know as educators, we almost have our own language when we talk about research. You've heard us mention names like John Hattie. He is a foundational researcher that we often refer back to. And so again, the research does support extended learning time as a lever for closing achievement gaps. We fully acknowledged we have areas of growth needed in the district, and this further supports that. Again, it's not just the time itself, it's what we do with that time. We've had multiple conversations with the board about students entering our system in elementary. So prior to this upcoming school year, 25-26, our elementary bell schedules had the least amount of time, but we have students entering our system well below grade level. So this aligned effort is also to address improving those student outcomes. And then again, as I keep going back to, it's not just the time, it's what you do with it. We've had a lot of conversations about high quality instructional resources being one variable, never replacing the teacher, but it's what you do with that time. And so to have the high quality instructional material, you have to have allotted minutes in the schedule for the teachers to thoroughly use the resource along with their craft of teaching. So as we move forward, I'm going to bring up both Mr. Kallenbach, the Executive Director of Secondary School Leadership, and Dr. Rayleigh Self, the Executive Director of Elementary School Leadership, and they're going to talk in greater depth about the individual levels. We'll start with secondary.
Thank you, Dr. Gomez. I'm just going to jump in on the secondary bell schedules that you can see middle school there on the screen. And so there's not much difference there. However, we are, again, trying to maximize the amount of time that students are in class. Incidentally, if you add, just to compare, if you add 2 minutes to each class period in a day over the course of a year, it translates to just under 6 days of instruction. So while it might look like we're making minor adjustments, a couple of minutes over the course of a whole school year is a lot of time. So we're trying to really focus on that. If we go to the high school, so what gets complicated about the high school bell schedules are our students who are involved in our CTE programs that are double blocked, so they go 2 periods at a time, and some of them are at different locations, and so we have to coordinate that effort so that we don't lose a lot of time in transportation going back and forth. So that was a big focus for us this year. I'm just gonna show you real quick the worksheet that we use. I know this is really more technical and it goes minute by minute, but I think it's important for you all to see, and also the community to see what all has to go into this to make these schedules work. So we actually look at it minute by minute like that, and make sure that a student doesn't lose time if they have to go across town for a double blocked class, and then they again have to travel back for that. So we're trying to limit that amount of time that they're traveling, and then increase the amount of time that they're in class. So I just want to shout out for a minute to our principals and our directors that came together, and we had multiple meetings hashing out how we can do this so that we can make it great for all of our students, no matter where they go to school or what program they're in. And so this is where it landed, and it's great. I got to tell you, over the past several years, we have dramatically increased the amount of time that they're in class and not traveling around. You'll see there in the middle where the lunches are. That's a big focus, because even just a few years ago, we were over an hour of time for lunch, and it was a lot of what we really consider wasted time because it just doesn't take that much. So we've shrunk that down. We're getting down in the 40 to 43 minute range now. And so that'll be a big thing for us, making it more efficient use of time during that middle of the day there. So again, that's a lot of extra with all the time periods and all of that, but we did want you to see that a lot of work goes into that with all of the principals and the directors to make sure that we are really making the best use of our time. And now I will introduce Dr. Self.
Good evening. Fortunately, at elementary, we're not quite driving yet, so we do have that working in our favor. But the addition to the 10 minutes, we are going from the elementary school day ending at 3:05 to 3:15 next year. And just the addition of that 10 minutes a day actually adds up to around 30 additional hours of instructional time over the course of the year. And that is such a blessing. It truly is. It's a gift of time for our teachers and our administrators. Just today, we started our first collaborative session where we are reviewing as a committee and a team the first round of our elementary master schedules. And the 10 minutes is actually allowing, we've seen some things and witnessed some things today, but really and truly, we're seeing an additional MTSS intervention time on top of the already required 30-minute intervention time. Special programs is a part of that discussion and a part of that team, and what we're seeing also is the campus leadership teams and special programs having a little bit of flexibility when we're talking about serving our students and making sure that we are hitting their required minutes in resource, as well as serving our dyslexia students. There's also a really dedicated focus in our primary grades, kinder first and second, to have a dedicated time for science and social studies, because in our primary grades, we tend to really focus on reading. It's the foundation for everything to be built on, but we also realize that we can't wait until third, fourth, and fifth grade to come in and teach science and social studies. So our campus leadership teams are really making a dedicated effort to put those science and social studies blocks in, and it's an accountability effort on their part too, because when they go into the classroom during that science time in kinder, that is what they're expecting to see, and that's what they're going to coach the teacher around. So we are just really thankful for that additional 10 minutes, and we're already starting to see quite a few benefits at the elementary level.
And just to close up on the elementary, the board has approved a variety of resources. The state has not provided additional resources for social studies in a number of years. The district this year has provided additional support for the 25-26 school year, specifically to elementary that needed a resource. So they are getting 2 additional resources for social studies weekly and Discovery Ed. And then our secondary campuses are getting additional support with Loman and Exploros, especially for 8th grade and U.S. history, as those 2 content areas and grade levels are part of the district's teacher incentive allotment plan. So we really wanted just to provide the overview and show that all of the decisions are around student outcomes first and foremost, and how do we provide the highest levels of support to continue to serve each and every child in our system.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Gomez?
What time does elementary going to start?
The official time is 7:35, as it has been. It's the additional 10 minutes at the end, so there's no change for families at the beginning of the day. There's also intentionality with little changes to middle school, because that's important for families. The change for middle school had to do with the period, so those periods were longer, but not the start or stop time, and then high school. Also, for high school specifically, Ms. Duncan, we've had a lot of conversations around providing supports for students, specifically students who have not been successful on end-of-course exams. So Central has the Bobcat block period. Lakeview's providing those additional supports every period of the day that met their schedule. So students would be scheduled for those interventions.
Right, I just have a couple of things.
Sure.
Elementary, and I know that you are thinking about this, I just want to say it because it's on my heart. Elementary, with this little bit longer, I'm hoping that we're going to give these little kids maybe 2 breaks to get up and run and be a kid and not be sitting, and because I think just 7:35 to 3:15 is a long day for a little one.
So there is a requirement for the physical education minutes in elementary that you don't have in secondary.
Right.
Beyond the middle school years, that is a requirement. Plus, we believe in the power of play to be able to get the energy out. That's very important.
Good. That's what I wanted you to hear, because I believe in the power of play too for children. Mm-hmm. And then middle school and high school, I like the extra time, and I am confident, I know this, but like I said, it's on my heart, that we will be monitoring what we call teaching bell to bell. And that if we're going to give, with that additional time, teachers are going to restructure their planning too. So we're asking them to add some more instruction in that time. And you may think 2 or 3 minutes isn't a lot, but it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So I want to say thank you to the teachers for, they're going to spend a little bit of time readjusting, and that minute-to-minute teaching is so important. And I feel confident that our admin team and that people will be making sure that is happening.
That's why it was so important that we brought in the research. Again, as we continue to stress, it's not just the additional time that makes the difference in improving student outcomes, it's what you do with the time. And with HQIM, high quality instructional materials, there is a structure that you have to get through in the lesson cycle. Not a script, but a structure.
Dr. Gomez, and just to let people know that the way they're required, it used to be days, so many days of instruction. They changed it, just to let people know, they did change it to minutes.
Correct.
Years back to 75,600 minutes.
That's correct, 75,600.
75,600. But how much over this, because that's the minimum. And I don't know where we're at, if we're at minimum or if we're at...
We never are at minimum, because if you do have a situation, we had a very unfortunate situation at the beginning of this school year where 2 of our campuses were not able to start with the other campuses. And so had we been at the minimum, those 2 campuses would not be finishing this Friday. Okay. They would have to come back after the upcoming holiday. So it's our belief to go a little above the minimum so that we're ensuring we're not having to have families come back and students come back unless there's a situation well beyond our control.
Okay. Well, thank you, because time counts.
Time counts. Yep. And what you do at the time counts more.
Other questions for Dr. Gomez? Just press it once.
Okay, there we go. Okay, ma'am. So I'm seeing elementary ending at 3:15, right? We're talking about a 20-ish minute pickup time. And my kids are at probably the smallest elementary school right now, right? 20-ish minutes or so for pickup. Junior high ends at what time? Or what is the bell schedule? 3:42, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not changing, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So
let me go back.
You're talking about families like me. I have kids in elementary, and then I have to rush to go junior high. I mean, that's a time crunch. It's stressful. It's hard. Then we're thinking about consolidating more schools, making these elementary campuses bigger. So if we're already looking at a 20-ish minute or so pickup time at the smallest elementary school in San Angelo, what is that going to do in the future once we consolidate, make campuses bigger? We're looking at maybe a 30-ish or so minute pickup time. So 3:45 or so by the time I pick up, or families pick up elementary kids. Then we're gonna go across campus because there's no longer a junior high close to District 2. Now we're going across to Lone Star. I mean, that's a crunch, a big crunch. So the 10-minute deal came up because, correct me if I'm wrong, students were entering elementary unprepared, or why did the extra 10-minute deal?
The extra time came out because our elementary campuses had the least amount of time of all of our campuses. And yes, we do have data showing that our students entering our system are well below grade level. Once they're in our system, we're able to catch them up, but it requires intensive supports.
And that 10-minute will make up the...
10 minutes is one component. So to make up, no ma'am, it's in addition to several other factors, and it's how you use the time.
Right.
To meet the time requirements for RLA, reading language arts, math, science, and social studies, there were not enough minutes prior to the addition of the additional time to fit in all the requirements. So that additional 10 minutes does give our teachers the time to cover the required instructional minutes for all of those core content areas.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And Dr. Gomez, I know, but Mr. Livingston's sitting right there, so I'm going to ask, what does this do to our afternoon bus routes?
So when I gave compliments, and so did Mr. Kallenbach, for the work of multiple departments, transportation was involved in that. So we made sure bus routes can still run as scheduled. And so Dr. Livingston was a part, or Mr. Livingston, I just called you a doctor. I just promoted you there, Mr. Livingston. How do you like that one? Was a part of that, along with our child nutrition, CTE, as you heard Mr. Kallenbach say, and multiple directors from special programs, where when you have your highest resource is human capital. It's our number one variable. In the area of special programs, to get interventionists, dyslexia teachers, reading interventionists, all of those staff at the multiple campuses to serve students, they were a part of those coordinated efforts as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
So you brought up child nutrition, right? And the 10 minutes being a big deal. So are we adding anything like a snack or something? Because I know when I pick up my kids, they are starving. They had lunch at 10 or 11, right? Probably before 11. And we're adding the extra 10 minutes. So are we adding any type of additional nutrition for the
Not from the child nutrition department. Our campuses all stagger their lunches, and also I know that every classroom I've been in personally, I'm not the only one that can speak to this, if students do have snacks, many of our teachers bring snacks in themselves. So we've never declined or denied a child that's hungry. But no, ma'am, there's not any additional child nutrition with the time being at the end of the day.
Yeah, right. Teachers and parents contribute to that. But I really think maybe we should look into something like a piece of fruit or something just to, hold them over. It's very important. When you're not well nourished, you can't think, you act out, you're not yourself when you're hungry.
That's a true statement.
So I think that's something we should really think about too, if you're going to approve a longer day for elementary students. So, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Gomez. All right, next we got Dr. Brandon coming up, and he's going to give us some bond construction updates.
With the passage of Proposition A, the district has started conversations regarding a bond construction timeline, projects list, and possible construction delivery methods. During the May 19, 2025 board meeting, Park Hill will share this evening with us a proposed bond construction timeline, as well as provide background information as what type of multiple construction delivery methods are available to the district. So with us this evening, Alan Wolf and RJ Lopez for that conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Brandon. It's great to be here, Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, and Board of Trustees. This has been a journey. This has been a long journey. We were talking about hiking up a hill, and tackling a bond is hiking a steep hill. And there was a lot of preparation that went into that to be able to make it possible, but without really locking arms and having the community support and the support of the administrators and the teachers and the community, these don't pass. And y'all know that because y'all have been there. But it's an amazing time to be able to be part of this process, and we're thrilled to be here tonight to talk about the next step, which I would akin more to a marathon now. It's not that steep climb, but we're definitely about to embark on another journey. So we're excited to share it with you. We're going to talk about the packages for construction, the delivery methods for construction, the teams for the packages, and then some of just the next logistical steps, such as surveying and geotechnical investigations. So y'all have been seeing the list through many bond presentations over the last few months, and you can see listed here was the aging buildings, which was listed at $267 million. Glenn Middle School at 122, and then safety security at $8 million. To be able to actually bid these out and turn these into construction projects, they have to be broken up into a timeline that makes sense for both design and construction, and then also something that's attractive to the contractors. We've started by just highlighting some of the overall aspects of the projects. I know Many of you have seen this many times, but I'll run through it real quick. One of the larger projects that'll take the longest in the design phase as well as in the construction phase would be the replacement of the auditorium at Central High School, the new kitchen and dining for Central, the new gymnasium and locker rooms, and then the renovation of the existing kitchen and cafeteria into a culinary arts lab and a health science lab. At Glenn Middle School, that would be a full replacement of that existing middle school on the existing site, and that would include full athletic fields, along with parking and security improvements with a capacity of 1,100 students. Lakeview High School, we'd have the mariachi addition, we'd have career and technical additions and renovations. You'd have at the athletic fields, restroom, concession, bleachers, parking at the athletic fields. You'd also have new lights at the football field. We have additional tennis courts and lighting, replacing the football field and adding lights, synthetic turf for the baseball and softball, and then softball backstop and fencing repairs. The elementary right-sizing projects, we would have replacing the kitchen and cafeteria at Crockett Elementary School, as well as adding additional classrooms. We have construction of a new kitchen, cafeteria, library, and school administration addition, and renovate for special education. And I believe that's at Fannin. Yes. And then lastly at McGill, one of the right-sizing projects would be the phase 2 and 3 of adding the remaining classrooms and library and some administration space. And so that would also be demolishing some of the older classrooms and older buildings from the campus, essentially making those campuses brand new once again. And then lastly, we have your capital renewal scope, which is just really bringing things up to today's standards that we've seen from the facility assessment. So that's replacing air conditioners, replacing plumbing, electrical system and fire upgrades, and the remaining components you can see there across the district. And so these were the critical components that needed to be replaced immediately, and those will be taking place over the course of the next couple years. So once we started breaking these down, everybody's asking, well, what starts first? What's going to end first? What's going to happen over the year? So this is a good snapshot of what those projects are going to look like. And obviously there'll be some air conditioners that can be replaced relatively quickly, like potentially this summer or by the end of the year. So you can see we've listed some of the critical safety and capital renewal improvements. We also have like fencing projects that can happen, or replacements of exterior doors to immediately improve security just as quickly as we can get those on site and installed. So that's an exciting prospect. But a lot of what's going to be happening in 2025 is planning. There's going to be a lot of planning, a lot of meetings. We're going to try to get many stakeholders involved. We're going to have principals, we're going to have Tony's department, we're going to have all of the key decision makers and users. A lot of times we even like to involve students and try to get them involved. So while you might not see ground being broken immediately, there's going to start to be a lot of meetings being coordinated to make sure that these buildings get planned with all of the users in mind, so that teaching and learning can take place in those facilities at the highest level when they're completed. So you can see 2026 will continue safety and capital renewal improvements. We're also planning for, by August 2026, the Crockett renovation to be complete. That project's actually going out at the end of this summer, so that'll be one of the first projects that breaks ground for the bond projects. And then you'll start to see some of the turf replacements and Lakeview lighting potentially happening as well, just because those happen quite a bit quicker. And they're standalone projects that don't rely on a lot of lead time that some of the other projects like new builds require. By 2027, you could start seeing some of the Fannin renovation complete, the McGill renovation complete. Hopefully, the goal is to have multiple, much longer pickup and drop-off drives to where those 20 to 30 minute pickup and drop-off times can be cut in half, because many times having multiple drives that are adequate and keeping you off of main streets help teachers get those students in the cars and in and out much quicker. So that's a big goal at Fannin, McGill, and Crockett. By 2028, the Lakeview additions, renovations, we see those being complete, the new CTE, new mariachi hall, and some of the renovations in the locker rooms as well. We could also see Glen New Middle School complete by 2028, August of 2028. And then lastly, since Central High School will be multi-phased and a portion will have to be built and then a portion demolished and then an additional renovation complete, we could see all of that complete by 2029. So we're talking about $397 million bond package complete in 4 years, which is a really exciting prospect. And there was discussions about delaying some of the projects and potentially waiting, but the longer you wait to start a project and the longer you wait to bid a project, the more risk for inflation and volatility in the market. So if we can hit the ground running on as many projects as possible, we reduce the potential for inflation and volatility. So right now, that's the discussions that are happening to make this schedule possible. All right, so it can get a lot more detailed, and if you're interested in kind of picking apart each project and kind of understanding what's happening in each project, I can go through one quickly. We can take, just say, well, let's start with the safety and security. We're showing maybe a couple of months of design with some of those projects, which by design, that might be, some of Jason and his crew, tackling, where does a door need to be replaced, trying to receive bids for replacing that door, and then construction of installing that door replacement. You can see we're showing that happening over multiple years, possibly multiple summers. Not everything has to happen over the summer. That's just when those projects typically happen. And there's some that are a little bit more critical than others, and some that just take more time. Certain security devices might not be able to come in within a couple months. You might have to wait another summer. So that's why you're seeing kind of the planning, which is orange, the bidding yellow, and then the blue construction there in that project. For Crockett, you could see that the planning actually started back in April to get this project under construction during the summer. It would bid over the summer. We're showing July and August. I think we're actually a little bit ahead on that. And then starting construction, we're showing September, but I think we could possibly be under construction for Crockett by August. And then the blue would be the construction phase. The light blue would be the moving and the ribbon cutting for the new kitchen, cafeteria, and classrooms at Crockett. The larger the project gets, the longer the design time and the longer the construction time. So you can see once you start getting to the Glen New Middle School, we start looking at a construction phase that goes from a design phase that goes from June 2025 to around November, December of 2025 and bidding out around the first of the year. Yeah, well, it would be design until around January of 2026 and then bidding around February, March of 2026. And then about a 24-month construction schedule shown on Glenn. And part of Glenn is, leaving the existing middle school, building the new middle school, then demolishing the existing middle school and building the athletic fields and track. So part of that is you could actually move in a little bit earlier than that, but we're showing the full schedule there. And then if you go all the way down to Central, you can see some of those phases and just the amount of time it'll take to move in. By actually January of 2029, so at the first of 2029, you could potentially be done and complete with your full bond package, which is an incredible feat. So we're excited to be a part of it. And if you have any questions, I don't know, we've got a few more slides, but if there are any questions, because I know this is a pretty detailed schedule.
RJ, are you going to be able to use any of the local effort to help with maybe the small planning projects, stuff like that,
yes,
stuff like that?
Yes, and we've
already some of the local assets that we have. Okay, good.
Yeah, we've got updated. Y'all have requested updated qualifications from local architects and engineers, and they're excited, and they're qualified, and they're looking at the projects right now. So.
Well, we're excited for you guys to manage the chaos for sure, because it's going to be busy for a season.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many projects here that there's going to be a little bit for your smaller contractors, your smaller architecture firms, and your smaller engineers, mid-sized engineers. So yeah, there's a lot for everybody.
Perfect. Thanks, RJ. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Mr. President and Board, we made an intentional effort to do exactly what you're talking about. Because I think everybody recognizes we can do this project, but if we leave out our locals, we're not doing ourselves a favor. So we're going to do all that we can to involve those qualified subcontractors and people that can get involved and really support the effort.
Any other schedule questions before I hand it over to my partner, Alan Wolf, to talk about construction delivery methods?
Thank you, RJ. Members of the board, Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, it's great to be with you guys. I'm going to go over just 3 slides that you may be wondering why we're talking about construction delivery methods with all the planning going on. I think once we get through the second slide, you'll see why I'm bringing that up. One of the things about construction delivery, one of the things that the board has to take action on when involving bond construction projects is the construction delivery method. So that's the means by which you're going to engage a contractor to get these things constructed. So I'm going to go over the 2 most common construction delivery methods that we see in school construction projects. The first one you're very familiar with because this is the same procedure used at Fannin and McGill, which is the competitive sealed proposal method. So back when I started my career, there was only one way to procure projects. It had to be what they call design, bid, build, or what some people call the low bid method. And I think it was 1999, the legislature saw that there was a benefit in evaluating not just what the low bid is, but qualifications and a mixture of price and quality. So that can be schedule, that can be references, it can be a lot of things that you can consider. It's just like the teachers in the classroom have a rubric for how they grade and evaluate students and help identify important pieces in the classroom. It's the same way in construction. So the board can actually adopt a set of criteria to evaluate, and that's what you guys have done for Fannin and McGill previously. In this case, there's a little org chart on the right-hand side, but this basically just shows the relationship. So you guys would have a contract with an architect design professional, and you would have a contract with a general contractor. And so in this case, the drawings, in our case or in another architect's case, the drawings get completed, and then throughout the process, the architect provides an opinion of cost. The project goes out on the streets. It's competitively bid by general contractors and subcontractors at the same time. And then there's an evaluation committee, just like what the same process you guys have done, that scores and evaluates the general contractors, but you can also evaluate quality of subcontractors, price, time, all of those things. So that's one way, but you get the final, you know the final price at the time you bid the project. So there's another one called construction manager at risk. And this project is very popular with bond projects as well. It's a little bit different. If you notice the way the org chart looks on the right-hand side, you still have subcontractors that report directly to a construction manager. So you still have one essentially general contractor that holds all the subcontracts. But you can see that now they're on the same line as the architect and engineering firm. That's because they can be brought on board early. And the reason and benefit for doing that, particularly with complicated phased projects, is that you can get input from who's going to be ultimately, if you want to think about it, the general contractor, construction manager, about construction materials, about the phasing of the project, even which parts of the project to start and things like that. Even construction delivery methods. I had one time that said, if you're going to do tilt up, you need to do this first, and you need to do this. This is why you do it, and it really helped the project. It saved money. And so a little bit of the difference, you actually would start by bringing, for some of those projects, you want to bring them early on once the architect and engineer has a conceptual design, let's say a schematic design, as we would call it. That's a good time to get that out and let construction managers look at it. So the difference is that when they still provide competitive pricing for their effort to manage the project and for their labor, for their own labor up front. They will then help during the design process, and then they would take that out to bid. So you would actually get the final price, not when they first give you, when you engage a construction manager, but after they have bid the project. One of the other benefits to it is they can give you what's called a guaranteed maximum price. So this is helpful particularly when you have phased projects where you're trying to evaluate a hard bid, let's say for the Mariachi edition at Lakeview, but you still need to bid the CTE wing at Lakeview. You can have some idea of what the total cost of the project is going to be before you award the first package. So it's really useful in that way. So it gives you some flexibility to start work and know you have that contractor on that site. For example, it may be important that one contractor work on the site. So that's one of the benefits to construction manager at risk. One more slide just to compare them a little bit. We see the construction manager at risk, particularly when we get into really large projects. It's not to say that you can't do a large project with a competitive sealed proposal. But a lot of times we see this, just the nature of large projects is complexity on site, whether it's a build and tear down and manage some of the traffic on site. CMAR is good for those we have some districts that utilize them, construction manager, the same firm for more than one site. But I'd say you can take out multi-site and just put multi-phase in there, because they build a certain phase of the project. You've got 3 more phases coming. They kind of know where the utilities are. They know the site. They know all the existing conditions. The whole idea behind construction delivery methods is you want to get the one that provides the best value, and that's what's in the Texas Administrative Code that you guys are governed by. What provides you the best value? And so we're going to explore that. I wanted to introduce you to these methods, but when we come for the next meeting, we'll talk a little more in detail about which project makes the most sense for each site. Competitive sealed proposal is great for very clear scopes, projects on a site that are straightforward in terms of their phasing and complexity. So we've used them successfully in both cases, as you know. The big thing is the way both of these methods have a full-time general contractor supervising the project on site at all times. So that's great, because that means they'll have somebody who knows what they're looking at all times, managing the subcontractors. Any questions on those things? I know I went through it kind of quickly, but those are the two methods used most often for. Now there's some of the other projects you may there's different other delivery methods that can be used for smaller projects, but these would take I think would be the ones to consider for the majority of your bond projects.
Alan, so like Central would be a multi-phase project because everything and we're having to deal with an old building. Okay, now I don't know if we're gonna say the cafeteria, we're not gonna tear it down, we're gonna reuse it. Now, so would CMAR be good for something like that? Because you're gonna do it here, then there, and then they'll know where everything's at.
Yes, Mr. Gallegos, that's absolutely. I think that's if you were pulling out one of the ideal cases for construction manager at risk, that would be the case, because you're probably looking at you've got a tear down, a partial tear down, a construction, a partial tear down. Plus you have at Central, you have the utility tunnels. I know the Citizens Committee saw kind of the condition of what piping looks like after a long time, and so those things have to be managed as well, and particularly when you have complicated utilities. I think that makes sense, because one of the things, we still have to have school, and so I think having and as you go through different phases, it certainly, I think, would be our recommendation to have the same construction team that on that site throughout the stage.
For Glenn Middle School, CSP would be good.
You could do it.
It's one project they're doing it just completely new. So.
I think that Glenn's a good example. If you could go, I think you could go either way. And I think as we go through the process, there's some new construction or newer construction down there on the southeast side, that building that we can utilize. Plus we have a lot of earthwork and retaining features that's going to be required for the construction of the middle school. So we might want to dive into that and I think that's when you're considering between the two, that would be the project I think that comes to mind in your bond program that could go either way.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other questions?
I've got, I think, maybe a couple more, so I promise.
I got a question for you if no one else did for a second. Sorry. In districts with large bonds like this, our district just passed, previously when our district passed a bond, I wasn't here, but it was 20-something years ago, we hired a construction person to be in charge of the project from a district perspective.
Yes.
And I know we intend to do that probably again. Does that change our delineation for a seal proposal versus a construction manager? They all work together either way. That's a great question. I think that's a very prudent move, and you're exactly right. Districts with this size bond typically have someone, and we've worked with a lot of districts that have that person on staff. We've also worked with them the other way. So but having someone that can, there's a lot of logistics that have to be steered through. I just talked about the utilities, but having to phase and work with principals and the maintenance and facility staff just to coordinate all of that. It's a full-time job from the district standpoint.
And so, because I know the last bond that we did a lot of CMAR, a lot of it. And now I know why, because everything was they were old buildings, and you had someone in there that had already been in there. You can go back and finish doing what they were doing. And one of the main reasons I think we went that way, and because, like I said, these are old buildings, lots of asbestos and stuff like that. And I'm just, what worries me about CSP, this is the only reason I have worry about CSP is because, and we experienced this before, is you had a lot of low bids that came in, and then in the middle of the project, you had change orders. And the majority of the change order, which we had to pay for, because they were just asking for more, some money to cover the cost, it was always asbestos. Now with CMAR, if say the people that are doing this stuff and they come in, they say we can do it for this cost, and they run into an asbestos issue, from what I gathered, then they covered the cost. Anything they went over, they had to cover it. They were responsible for it, not the school district.
Right. Once that guaranteed maximum price is set, and then they're responsible for that number. And there is a chance that that number can go down. You know, after there's sometimes opportunities when you're bidding a project. I'll use a crane, for example. More than one subcontractor may need a crane. They find out both have the crane. We don't need to pay for it twice. So that number can come down, but that's the maximum number it can be. So it's not going to go up from there unless you decide, well, I need to add 10,000 square feet, or unless you guys change the scope. So that's one of the benefits of the guaranteed maximum price, is that's the max that it can go. But in terms of your question about the other thing I didn't mention about construction manager at risk, there's even the option, so you can get started early. So for example, in a new construction, if you wanted to do an earthwork and utilities package for a new school, elementary, middle school, you could start that before you have the bids on the other piece. So sometimes it allows you to while the architect and engineer is finishing the final design, there are some elements of that design that may be ready and done to bid. And that allows you to start construction, not have to wait, 2 or 3 or 4 months longer to get the rest of the CMAR, right? So that can give you some advantage in time. The other thing is if you have typically you're going to have maybe 40 or 50 different bid packages. If a couple of them come in too high and they just don't make sense, they're not the right time. Or asphalt, for example, sometimes that market price of asphalt can change what the paving cost. It doesn't stop you from starting construction in that case. You could still award the different packages, and you can go back and rebid the paving, for example. So it also gives you that kind of flexibility too. And with large projects that are spread out, like RJ was describing with Central, for example, that gives you some flexibility on when you bid certain packages as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I made a couple of slides, and we'll go pretty quick here. RJ talked about the team. I wanted to cover this real quick. As he talked about, we've had a lot of planning and preparation, but there's a lot of detailed design work to be done. So when we talk about the team, that's not just our folks or or another architect's team. It's also your team. So that, as RJ mentioned, your facility staff, your principals, your community, your students, and each phase of design from discover all the way to the deliver phase builds on more and more detail. We're a big believer if you've ever heard of the McLeamy curve. The more time you put into planning, the less you're going to have of those changes, and you can control costs a lot better. So we believe in that. So we've got a great start. We've got a lot more to do together, and we're going to be focused on flexibility, durability, and creating inviting spaces for your students. And really the end result is going to be a reflection of what your team wants, what the response to your needs and your educational delivery needs. So I don't know if there's any other ones that we need to talk about. I think these are kind of the next steps. There's some things we'll talk about at the next meeting. This is really a primer for that. And then, there's some other things that can get started on those sites where new construction is going to be, which is, I think you're familiar with the soils investigation and survey type work. So, any other questions we can answer for you?
I just had a quick question. So what's the biggest, you talked about a lot of the pros of the CMAR, but what's the biggest downside to the CMAR?
I think I'm trying to think of a downside to CMAR. I think for some of the smaller, straightforward projects, you might have, take for example, like the McGill addition. I think that's a good candidate for a competitive sealed proposal. And sometimes it has I think a construction manager at risk is going to have a full-time project manager and a full-time project superintendent. Some projects don't necessarily need as large of a staff for that. I don't know, RJ, if there's any other things you can think of with that.
They're normally larger companies that do CMR, so they're normally their overheads higher, and they're used to working on larger projects and staffing them well. And so a lot of times we do see some of the CMR projects come in a little bit higher, but where we see the results are during the construction. Normally construction's faster and there's a lot less changes. So bringing them on early, they know about the asbestos. Bringing them on early, they say, well, maybe we should do steel throughout the whole building instead of doing partial concrete because we think we can save 2 months. So even though that concrete might save you $50,000, the 2 months we save could be $200,000 in savings. So we save on the back end during construction. When things get the most critical, that's where the CMR really shines. But yes, the smaller and less complicated the project, normally the more expensive the CMR is. And the smaller and less complicated a project, the more competitive a CSP is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for being here. And as for our public, I just want everyone to know that our plan is to do bond updates throughout this whole process at our regular board meetings so that we keep the community involved in understanding what is being done and how the money is being spent. So appreciate our admin team for making sure that we are transparent on all of that. All right. Next is item 11, which is consent items A through F. So that's donations, our minutes from our April 14th, 2025 board training, our April 14th, 2025 pre-agenda workshop, and our April 21 regular board meeting. Is the acceptance of our audit engagement letter from I. Bailey. Consider approval of bids for the Child Nutrition Department for the 24-25 school year. Vent hood cleanings, bid 20-014, which was an add-on for our curriculum and instructions materials. And then F, which was consider superintendent's recommendations for 25-26 and other professional contracts. Any board questions or comments regarding consent items A through F? And just to make sure everyone is aware, the superintendent's recommendations is the separate page that was at your desk. All right. Do I have a motion to approve consent items A through F?
Make a motion to approve consent items A through F.
Any question, or sorry, do I have a second for consent items A through F?
I'll second.
So a motion from Mr. Gallegos and a second from Dr. Mills. Any further board questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say the same. So we'll call it 6-0, and Mrs. Cardenas is going to abstain. Next, we're going to move to some action items. First is consider our bills and accounts and financial statements for the April 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the bills, accounts, and financial statements?
Dr. King, move for approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion from Mr. Dindal and a second from Mr. Gallegos. Any further board comments or questions?
Dr. Kingman, just a note to the public that we reviewed all these reports in our pre-agenda meeting last Monday. All of these reports can be found online at our website, saisd.org, under a tab called Financial Transparency.
So any other board comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say the same. Motion passes 6-0. The next is a proposed budget amendment for the district official budget, general fund as of May 19th, 2025. This was a move to the general fund of $7 million from our committed fund balance to cover construction projects that have been now completed or in the process of being completed. Dr. Brandon, you're getting up there to talk about that one or for the next one?
Mostly the next one. You're exactly right. 7 million from capital projects from our committed fund balance, and then a couple of minor changes, decreases in functions 11 and 34, 57,600, and to increase 36 and 23 by the same amount. So zero effect on the general fund.
Any questions or comments? So there's a little bit more in the committed fund balance that will come out eventually, but about, I think, 1 million left. So, any other board questions or comments regarding that? All right. All in favor, say aye. All against, say the same. Motion passes 6-0. Oh, did I not have a motion? Sorry. That's why y'all shouldn't have let me stay
Dr.
president.
Kingman, I'll move for the approval of the general fund budget amendment for May 19th, 2025, with changes to function codes, which results in no monetary differences, and an increase in expenditures in the amount of $7 million, of which was coming from committed fund balances for construction.
Thank you. A motion from Mr. Dindal. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Mrs. Mizell Flint. Any further board comments or questions? It's Merle getting up to screwed me up. Now, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say the same. Motion passes 6-0. All right. Next is consider resolution regarding district boundary adjustments, and that is what Dr. Brandon is here to talk to us about.
During a routine property audit by the Tom Green County Appraisal District, inconsistencies in school district property boundaries were discovered between San Angelo ISD and Wall ISD. Further investigation revealed the inconsistencies were in relation to current Texas Education Agency district boundary lines between the two districts. Walsh Gallegos was contacted to inquire about the possible solutions to the boundary line inconsistencies. Mrs. Joseph with Walsh Gallegos researched the matter and has provided both school districts and the appraisal district with the proposed option related to Texas Education Code Section 13.231, referred to as a minor boundary adjustments by agreement. So no one school district can change a boundary line. It only happens through agreement by both districts, by the Board of Trustees, by both school districts, with the additional oversight of the Texas Education Agency and the appraisal district. So you find with the resolution is to adopt a new common district boundary line and further delegate authority to the superintendent to negotiate a minor boundary adjustment with Wall ISD and bring that back to the board. So no decision would be made this evening, simply a resolution so that the superintendents may work together with Walsh Gallegos to produce that minor boundary adjustment and bring that back to the Board of Trustees in June.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a comment because there seems to be some angst on this issue. And I think the goal of both, I can't speak for Wall, but I can speak for the goal of this administration that will bring something to this board that would help the citizens of San Angelo ISD who have been residing and attending school in San Angelo ISD, who have been paying taxes to San Angelo ISD. Our recommendation, hopefully, will be to keep it the same. And by that, I mean, it would be, if Wall is in agreement, we would send that to Austin, and TEA would make their adjustments so that no one in our district, or if Wall would agree, no one in their district would change their taxation district or their school boundary district attendance zones. So that's the hope. And for those that may be excited about this, they can relax. I think common sense and cooler heads will prevail.
So any further comments or questions for Dr. Brandon? So do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve a resolution to adopt a new common district boundary line and further delegate authority to the superintendent to negotiate a minor boundary adjustment agreement with Wall ISD and bring back to the board for consideration.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Mr. Gallegos and a second from Mr. Dindal. And the only comment I will make is just for the public, nothing is actually happening with this resolution. It is only allowing the two districts to work together to present a minor boundary adjustment to each board. Okay. Any further board comments or questions? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say the same. Motion passes 6-0. All right. Next we have Mr. Lee Livingston. And he's going to help us consider transportation rider check-in software purchase to include all needed hardware and installation for a turnkey project.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Moran. Thank you for having me back again tonight. I'll talk to you a little bit about our ridership check-in program. Our current vendor made us aware about 2 months ago that they're no longer going to integrate with our current routing software. So we're either forced to move over to their solution or find another option. So we're going to suggest that we change our vendor for our hardware. We're going to stay with our current software for routing. We're actually in the process of upgrading that. We got some exciting things coming along for everybody that's involved with student transportation. Currently, we do not have live GPS on our vehicles. With our current provider, it's passive as long as the tablet is on the bus and the bus driver has the tablet turned on, we can locate that vehicle. Once the tablet's turned off or there's no a tablet on the bus, it's just out there. So we will have live GPS, and that means even with the engine turned off, we'll be able to locate that vehicle. With this current solution, we have customizable reports that'll help us out with our end of the year reporting with TEA. We'll also be able to, one of the exciting parts of that is, an idle report. And we can work with our drivers to keep our idle time at a bare minimum. I know Pflugerville ISD put this same program in place about 2 years ago. I know they're slightly bigger than we are. They have about 100 buses more than we do, probably cover 3 times the amount of mileage that we do, but they were able to save over $200,000 the first year in fuel cost alone. So I expect that we will probably come pretty close to covering the cost of this program, just being able to monitor our fuel utilization. We're also going to have electronic vehicle inspection reports. Along with our upgrade to our routing program, our maintenance program is also getting upgraded. So this will also integrate with that as well. And we'll have some exciting new things going on in the maintenance shop along with that. And again, it integrates with our upgrade to Service Finder and Route Finder Plus. And we also have navigation on the tablets. We currently have that with our current provider, so that's not a big change. We'll be able to have parent communication with this program as well. That actually comes through TransFinder. That particular program is called Stop Finder. And it does a lot. I'm not saying that we're going to do everything that it does, but it does a lot, and it will certainly help our parents get information a lot better from a standpoint when we have late buses or buses that aren't running due to either mechanical failure or no driver present to operate the vehicle. And also an exciting option with this particular vendor is it will integrate with Time Clock Plus, and we do at some point in time. We're not getting that right now, but at some point in time I'll probably come back to you with an option to integrate with that. That gives our drivers the option to clock in, clock out from the bus instead of coming inside to hit the time clocks. I think it'll be a lot more accurate on our driver time, and monitors too. They'll be able to clock in and clock out from that as well. And we took a look at the three options for moving forward in this particular situation. Of course, Smart Tag no longer integrates with our software, so we would have to procure other software to move forward with that option. Samsara is a very qualified GPS provider, and they do work with TransFinder. However, they don't provide the hardware that we'd need, so we would end up having to go to a third vendor to get the hardware that we need. So therefore, we are suggesting that we move forward with the Zonar program.
Mr. Livingston, so that's the price for the software. So then each year the cost would just be the cards? Or is that
there is a maintenance fee every year.
Uh-huh.
Of course, for the service, it would be, for the GPS service, which we haven't been paying for because we don't currently have that. So that would be a big portion of that annual fee. And then the cards, yes. And I think you asked me to talk a little bit about some of the problems that you incurred when you began this program about 3 years ago. I've heard bits and pieces, so I'm not exactly sure I know 100% of what went on, but I know that there was an initial run of cards that needed to be reprinted, and worked with the vendor to make sure that we don't have that problem again. They will be working very closely with our data folks to make sure that they get the correct data, that those cards are printed correctly. And no, we're not tracking our kids. These are just a badge on, just like our ID badges that would open doors or whatever, although we're not going to be offering that to our students, but it works on the same premise.
Any questions for Mr. Livingston?
So, Mr. Livingston, the Zonar provides the GPS. I mean, we'll be able to do that. And also you can follow the idle time. You'll know where every bus is at, which we couldn't do that with Smart Tag, could we? Is that what you're saying?
We could do it as long as the tablet was on the bus.
Okay,
now,
okay. This doesn't require the tablet or anything.
Smart Tag does not offer an option to track idle time or anything like that, but or at least the version that we currently have. But
Zonar can.
Zonar can.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
And the kids also use this for lunch and stuff, right?
Correct.
And this new software, the new badges are going to work fine with all that.
Yes, yes. They've assured me of that. Everything that works in the schools works off the barcode. Now the card readers on the buses will be RF.
I may have missed it. Did you say? Did you tell us how much the annual cost is for the Zonar software?
I don't have that broke out, but
Okay.
I do have that. We can get you that information.
Thank you.
So I think just a couple of notes on that. Because that's a good question. It's very similar to the smart tag, but this would be the 1-year purchase at $224,646 general fund purchase, and then reoccurring from that, we would build into the budget for transportation. So we wouldn't come back with a yearly cost. It would build it into the transportation budget. And it did, luckily, it also, this ID system works with the printers that we have from SmartTag, so we're able to keep all of our printers that's on every campus, all of our print cartridges, so we were able to use, we'll get the new student IDs because they're particular to Zonar, but we'll able to save some supply cost by using those.
Any other board questions or comments? All right, do I have a motion?
Dr. Kingman, I move, excuse me, Dr. Kingman, I recommend that Zonar software, hardware, recommend to purchase Zonar software, hardware, and installation for a turnkey project.
224,646.
Yeah, 224,646 before it goes away on our screen. Thank you.
I have a motion from Mr. Dindal. Do I have a second? And a second from Mrs. Duncan. Any further board comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say the same. Motion passes 6-0. All right. Next we have, thank you, Mr. Livingston. Next we have RFP 25-005, which is a culinary arts lab refresh.
Thank you for having me here tonight. The Central Culinary Arts Program is experiencing significant growth, necessitating an expansion of its current facility. To address this need, we initiated a project to integrate the existing commercial kitchen at Sousa with the adjacent underutilized home economics classroom. This conversion will create a larger, modern commercial kitchen space to better serve our students. A request for proposal was issued to identify qualified companies capable of this refresh. The district received a total of 4 bids and 1 no bid. Following a thorough evaluation process based on the predefined scoring criteria, Mid-Tex of Midland received the highest overall score. The administration recommends that San Angelo Independent School District Board of Trustees approve the award of the Culinary Arts Lab Refresh contract to Mid-Tex of Midland for a total contract cost of $707,000. This includes an owner contingency of $40,000 to address any unforeseen issues that may arise during this project. Do you all have any questions?
Who wants to start with more questions or comments?
We also have some of the representatives from the Culinary Arts Department and the CTE program if you guys have any questions for them as well.
I know we had significant discussion at this, at the pre-agenda meeting, and I know the project cost of $707,000. We are 3 years away from having a completely new culinary arts department at Central, and I know it's harsh to wait, but the cost of the development of this program leaves us to move only about $200,000 worth of equipment from the lab that we create to the lab that we will currently that will occupy in about 3 years. So my angst is that we leave that infrastructure there unused, and I know that some of these funds are coming out of Kate. I mean, and that's good, but if we cannot recover some of those funds and use that infrastructure for Kate software, I'm a little concerned that we should wait instead of proceed.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest concerns is we already have money that's going to be devoted to this in 3 years, and there's other CT programs that won't have money coming to them in 3 years. So whether you have $500,000 that would have major infrastructure changes at the school that you could put towards other CTE programs that have no future money coming. So I don't know. I'm kind of like Mr. Dindal. I'm not sure that spending $500,000 on infrastructure changes to something that already has a bright future, and we're really excited about all the stuff that's going to come with the bond. I just don't know if it's money well spent when there's a lot of other programs that could also use those funds.
Do we have an idea of what those spaces would be used? I know one question we had last week was, what would those spaces be used for 3 years from now, 4 years from now, when they're no longer used for culinary?
We did have some internal discussions. I'm going to let these two take care of those discussions.
Good evening, Dr. Kingman, Dr. Moran, the board. So as we look at some of those additional programs that aren't included in the bond, culinary isn't our only program that we're seeing extensive growth in. Our engineering program, we're also seeing growth in that area. We have several pieces of equipment that have been donated from business and industry. So we haven't had to purchase that equipment, but having the space, the electrical, the ventilation for some of those pieces of equipment. For example, we have a Stratasys 3D printer. It's about the size of a refrigerator, and it's a great piece of equipment, but it requires ventilation, and it requires the space for that piece of equipment. So we're very limited right now in even being able to utilize it and students being able to get trained on it and get a certification in that, because we just don't have the electrical and the ventilation and the space for that. So I could see equipment and programs like engineering moving into that space. So I understand that we're currently preparing the space for culinary arts, but we'd also be preparing that space for additional programs that aren't included in the bond.
I don't know, maybe that's what we need more clarification on, how that would look, maybe. I do think, from what I understand, culinary, I don't know, this might be too drastic to say, can't continue in the path that they're in right now. There's, the teachers are doing a phenomenal job with just a little bit. And I too think all of our CTE programs are going to grow, because that's where kids are looking at more and more, not just the academic path. So I see both sides. I mean, I understand the money part and all that. So I think if, what you're saying, Roxanne, if we can hear more or show more that if we went with this, that would still be used for engineering, and then maybe it would paint a better picture, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would ease it, but at the same time, for the engineering department, I think we need to design a space for the engineering department or the classes, not design the space for the culinary arts for 3 years and then sort of retrofit it or sort of adapt it to work with engineering down the road, because that's not necessarily, we may make it work, but is it ideal? Is it optimal? This is hopefully the space they're going to have for 15, 20, 30 years. We don't want to commit to a 3-year project and then we're sort of making do for the next 17 years. That's my thought.
So I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'm hearing that there's a lot of question on this. Why don't we at least table it for tonight, and let's think about if the admin wants to come back with a clear explanation of how the money can be used more than just one phase. We'd be happy to hear that next month. But I think trying to take a vote on that tonight is all it's going to do is not pass. And so we might as well table it for now and see if we can come up with a plan that actually meets all the concerns of the board. And if we can't, maybe we take a deep breath and say, hey, we do have a real bright future with a lot of things, and we don't want anyone to suffer over the next 3 years, but on the same hand, we don't, like Dr. Mills and I think what Mr. Dindal's saying is we don't want to have a program suffer for the next 25 years because we weren't willing to have a program spend the money the right way right now. So unless someone wants to make a motion, I'm not preventing any motions. If someone wants to make a motion to regarding the approval, that's fine. Otherwise, I would make a motion that we table it for further discussion in the future. And I'll take a second if.
Dr. Kingman, this is not to discount the burgeoning success of what we're seeing in the culinary program here, because it's one of our brightest programs, not only at Central but at Lakeview, and those spaces are obviously it's become a class in demand. And so if we don't move forward with this, we do need to make alternate plans to make sure that we do take care of these kids until we can get them in a better space for sure. And with that, I'll second that motion to table.
All right. I guess since it was posted, we'll take a vote. Everyone okay with tabling? Say aye. Aye. Against, say the same. Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Centers. All right, item F is no longer needed. That was all taken care of. There are no contracts that need to be terminated. So next we have announcements. We have our PAYS graduation and May 22nd at 6 p.m. We have our Central graduation May 24th at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. And then Lakeview graduation May 24th at 11:45 a.m. And then our Finance and Pre-Agenda Workshop will be June 9th, excuse me, and our regular board meeting will be June 16th. And unless there are any other board comments, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.